Alright guys, quick QI update. I haven't posted in a while. The system that I'm using I've already explained to you guys, and I've just been fine-tuning it from season to season. I had a teammate recommend villas this season, build villa and rush with shards. So I did try that this season. I don't know if I like that strategy because I'm not replenishing shards on the map fast enough to justify that. I have plenty of diamonds, but for the most part, my QI strategy is not to buy shards. Every now and then, when I get a 200% offer for diamonds, I'll refill my stash. But for the most part, I try to avoid buying shards or anything like that for QI. So the shards that I'm investing in my city normally are coming from, like I rush all my farms, and the shards for that are coming from the nodes from the previous season, if that makes sense. So I did try planning and rushing villas. I like the output. Like in terms of production, it's awesome. I just don't think it's sustainable on the shard side, so I don't know if I'll be doing that again in the future. In previous seasons, I end up with roughly the same amount of villas. I've got 6, 7, 8, 9 villas. I usually end up with 7 or 8 villas. I just don't rush them. That's the difference. So, and I don't delete cottages. Like, I won't delete cottages to replace with a villa. Throughout most of the season, I just have a ton of tile houses. I'll upgrade a few of them into cottages as I go, and then once I get enough resources, I'll just start deleting tile houses straight to villa. So I pretty much always have a mix of cottage and villa. I've just never rushed the villas in the past. To me, farm is justified. Rushing a farm is justified to me, because it's a huge footprint, first of all. But the idea with planting a farm is that you can eliminate, if you've got 6 butchers, you can eliminate all 6 of those by planting a farm, and that takes care of your entire supply collection, right? So that's a transition where it's important to rush that building, because if you don't rush it and you delete all your butchers but don't actually rush the farm, you will get 0 supplies on the next collection. But in terms of rushing villas, I tried it this season. I'm not convinced that that's a good investment with shards. Because I mean, if you have 30 houses in here or whatever, and this was a tile house, so you're getting 10k coin off of that tile house, but I have 30 other houses, so deleting that one and then waiting a full cycle for the villa, that seems justified to me. Like, I don't really see the impetus to rush that immediately. I did try it though. Main difference though, what I want to share with you guys this season, main difference, for the most part, this is the same system I've been using. My town hall has the same vertical spacing that it's had in every single video that I've made recently. It's 5 in the back, 5 in the front, 3 on the side. This started as 6 to the left, and then the expansions that I chose just happen to line up on this left side. So 1, 2, 3, 4 expansions on the left side, but the same original spacing. 5 in the back, 5 in the front, 6 on the left side, 3 on the right side. So same system I've been using. The idea here is to start with a pair of house and butcher, top and bottom, and then as the season goes on, we're going to delete the tile house and the butcher for a farm, and then we're going to delete one of these tile houses and create a cottage, right? That's the general idea. So same concept that I've been using for the last few seasons that I've posted videos. Big difference this season though, which I want to share with you guys. I think it's pretty clever. I actually have 8 farms this season, which is the first time I've done this. It's the same 10 expansions that I usually end up with, but I have 8 farms this season. And in my previous videos, I've always recommended keeping a balanced collection towards the end game. So we're on difficulty level 7 now. This is Wednesday night. My collection comes in about an hour. So I've always recommended keeping a balance of both resources for collection as you get into the end game, so that as you start deleting buildings, you're able to build things like arches, which require equal amounts of both resources. It's your ability to print troops. I don't have a barracks planted right now. I don't need it. And your ability to plant attack ability. So I don't need the barracks because I've stockpiled some troops in previous collections. But the idea there is that you need an equal collection because everything that we're buying at this point demands equal of both resources, right? Where earlier on we're trying to build a villa, so we need more supplies, right? Or we're trying to build a farm, so we need more coin. So earlier on, you can kind of manipulate those imbalanced collections towards hyper focus on coin to build a farm, hyper focus on supplies to build some villas. But in the end game, you kind of do want a balanced collection, right? That's always been my thinking. This season, as I was thinking about it, I was like, I mean, you need to be able to spend equal amounts of both resources, but you don't necessarily need to collect equal amounts of resources. So my current collection is very imbalanced. It's about 600 in coin and 690 in supplies, so not balanced at all. And normally I have 7 farms, so this would balance, right? It would be about 640 of each. That would balance with 7 farms. This season, though, I was thinking about it, and I was like, I'm going to spend equal amounts of resources, but I don't necessarily need to collect equal amounts of resources. So the strategy behind 8 farms and the imbalance on the supply side is that I now have 5 or 6 collections worth of time. I mean, there's a race against Glock where I am going to start needing to build attack ability soon, right? But I have 5 or 6 collections worth where I'm generating 100,000 extra supplies per collection. So when the time comes where I need to start planning extra attack or extra happiness, the arches, the monuments, things like that, I don't have to delete cottage and farm equally, because I should have a surplus of several 100,000 supplies, so I don't have to delete these things equally. I can actually just delete 2 farms because I've been stockpiling supplies for 5 or 6 collections at that point. Does that make sense? A couple advantages here. Number one, housing is giving me actions, so I get an extra 6,000 actions per cycle. That just clicked. I didn't pay attention to that, but that just clicked over. So we can watch the video later and figure out how many extra actions I'm getting. But it's plenty, right? I'm getting actions from villa and cottages as well as main city. So the benefit to keeping housing later on is, number one, the extra actions that you're adding by doing that. But number two, the space. So if I delete housing and farms as a pair and just keep that balanced collection until the end game, I'm losing actions, but I'm only gaining 4 squares worth of space to plan attack, right? Plus the 20 squares off the farm, so I'm gaining 24 squares. But if I've stockpiled supplies, which I'm doing, I mean, 600,000 coin in a collection is plenty, right? I'll include my collection into this video just so you guys can see that. That's plenty of coin to just stockpile towards the end game. But I'll be generating more supplies. And the advantage there is that I can delete 40 squares worth of supplies and actually achieve neutrality on my collections at that point, and have enough surplus of supplies stockpiled to where over the next few collections they'll actually reach equilibrium. Does that make sense? And maintain the action production off of the houses. So that's the strategy here. Very, very fine tuning, but figured you guys might enjoy the strategy behind it. Happiness is euphoric, so I don't have to manipulate that as I collect. That is a thing that you'll have to do through most of the season, but once you reach this equilibrium, just collect and build what you need. I usually don't. So, like, I don't have tile houses or butchers. Everything in my city is at least partially upgraded. Like, a cottage is somewhat of an upgrade, right? And I don't usually get to this point until I have a comfortable amount of troops, because I don't want to delete cottages for a couple ballista, you know. The fighting is still comfortable. I get a couple injuries here and there, but it's not catastrophic. So there's no reason to so there's no need to start printing troops until we actually get into level 10, 11, 12, whatever. So for the next 4 or 5 difficulties, or 4 or 5 collections up to difficulty 10, 11, I'm actually just going to collect my entire city as it is and just stockpile everything. Should end up with 3 million, 4 million in resources that, as I start needing more attack, okay, I was struggling on difficulty 10, I'm going to delete 1 farm, plant an arch, and some aqueducts, right? Okay, I struggled on difficulty 11, I'm going to delete another farm, plant an arch, and a few more aqueducts, etc., etc. But by having 8 farms and that imbalance in the collection, I can actually delete my farms first without affecting the action production from housing, plus the real estate that we talked about. So I'll be back in about an hour and just show you guys the collection, but that's the concept behind it, and I think that's actually a pretty cool adjustment to the system that I've been using. So talk to you guys soon. Bye. Alright guys, collection time. Let's make a mental note of the resources in the bar real quick. 632 coin, 605 supplies. We should be at pretty comfortable 1.3 million of each after this collection. If supplies or if coin is a little bit behind, that's actually okay, and that's part of my strategy, just to imbalance on the supply side. So I have a stockpile of supplies going into the end game where I can comfortably start deleting farms to replace with attack ability as well as arches, and not sacrifice the action benefit of housing. So let's go ahead and do the collection, make a mental note of resources, roughly 6,000 of each, or 600,000 of each, but favoring the coin side, so hopefully we imbalance it towards supplies after this. Nice, cool. 1.249 and then 1.27. So considering supplies was 30,000 behind at the beginning of the collection, and it's now 20,000 ahead, we gained about an extra 60,000 in supplies on that collection versus coin. And just keep this pattern. So there's, like, I have nothing to do with those resources. I'm just gonna, I don't need the troops. I don't need to plant anything. I don't need to change anything. I'm just gonna keep doing this until I actually do need to plant attack ability. But the cool thing with hyper focusing on the supply side with the farms is that when I do start deleting stuff to plant attack ability, I can delete a farm, and only a farm, keep my housing, keep the action benefit from the housing, but I can just start deleting farms for more real estate, and not lose the action potential. Make sense? Alright guys, quick update on the farm strategy that I explained, kind of imbalancing supply into the end game. I like this strategy. I'm definitely going to do it again. Just finished collection and deleted 1 farm today. Pretty much right at 1.6 in coin, 1.8 and some change, so a little over 200,000 extra supplies over coin. I was up to 3 million, but I printed the rest of the troops that I'll be using for the remainder of the season. And then planted 2 more arches, handful of aqueducts, some more monuments. So plenty of resources left over for the final stage when I start deleting more stuff. After deleting farm number 8, my collection is right at 570 in coin, and then just a little over 582 on supplies. So still have an imbalance on the supply side, but not as much, so I'll still be accumulating more supplies for the next couple collections. This is Friday morning, by the way, so there's only 5 collections remaining this season. So my collection tonight will maintain the supply imbalance and then just add 12,000 to that. Collection tomorrow morning will delete another farm, which will change this to 500 supplies on the dot. So I'll be getting an extra 70,000 in coin each collection, but with the 210,000 surplus in coin, that'll actually last me 3 collections, to where I'll have an equal amount of coin in supply by the time I delete everything. So after next collection, we'll have, yeah, you guys get the idea. I think it's a pretty good strategy, actually. I mean, like I said in the first part of the video, the goal is to be able to spend equal amounts of resources. But if I have 1.8 in the bar, I'm probably not going to spend all of that at this stage. Eventually, I am going to delete my entire city and just fill it with monuments. So you do want equal resources for that process. But in the meantime, you don't necessarily need to collect equal resources. So I like stockpiling the supplies, because after deleting one farm, I had room for, I also had a ballistic camp that I deleted. So there's a room for a lot of hardware that didn't affect my action production from houses. And I can maintain that balance going into the end game because I was stockpiling supplies earlier on. So that's it. I might update you guys once we get into like difficulty 10, 11, whatever. But the fighting is still pretty comfortable right now. So the couple aqueducts that I planted will kind of help me ease into difficulty level 10, you know. Yeah, it's not bad. So, all right, guys, talk to you later. Bye.